Omori is a game I came across very recently. I saw it on Steam one day while I was browsing the Steam store, and I thought it looked pretty cool from the trailers that were there on the page. So I went ahead and bought it, and my god, am I glad I did. It was a great experience, loved every bit of the story, and overall, a great experience in general. I'm going to keep this video spoiler free for the most part. There might be a few things that might be a tiny bit of a spoiler, but nothing big, nothing major. But yeah, other than that, let's just go ahead and dive in. Omori is definitely not the wholesome, cute game that it appears to be. Not that it isn't cute, the art style definitely supports that cutesy art style, but it definitely is, but the game can get very dark at times. And by dark, I mean, like, messed up way. Like, kinda like Doki Doki Literature Club, if you ever played that. But, like, made with RPG Maker. The devs literally have to include a warning every time you launch the game about the sensitive topics in the game. Kinda like it would have to do in Doki Doki. Omori's story is one of its best aspects, in my opinion. I loved it so much that I'm playing through the game again, after beating the true ending on my first try, of course. And I'm trying to get every achievement on this run, so we're gonna see how that goes. I'm a completionist, so I like to do that. That's just my style. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I'm gonna try not to go too into detail with Omori's story, because I feel like most of you who haven't played it would like to experience it firsthand, and I highly recommend you do, because it is a great experience. So I'm gonna try to sum it up with as little spoilers as possible, if any at all. I honestly don't know what you could consider a spoiler, but most likely not. You play as Omori throughout the game. No surprise there. He's a depressed young boy who enjoys playing and going on fun adventures with his friends. He wonders why his friends want to be with someone horrible like him, but he recalls a time when it wasn't always like this. He seems to have forgotten something, or someone, very important. Throughout the game, you spend your time in Headspace searching for your friend Basil, who suddenly disappears during the prologue. In order to save him, Omori must overcome his fears to progress to new locations and continue his search for Basil. It's not always easy, but luckily his friends are there to back up and encourage him throughout the game. The other area of the game is called Faraway Town, which is kind of like the reality, while Headspace is more like a dream world. It's where you spend most of the game, Headspace, because that's where most of the RPG aspects are. And most of the game is literally just Sunny sleeping. Sunny is Omori's actual name in the real world, if you will. So yes, outside of the dream world or Headspace, you play as Sunny in a place called Faraway Town. Sunny hasn't left his house in almost 4 years due to something that happened in the past. I'm not going to get into that because that's kind of a big spoiler. If you decide to leave your house, then you unlock the Faraway Town area where you live your whole life with your friends. Sunny's main objective is to repair his friendship with each of his old friends and ultimately overcome and forgive himself for what he did in the past. And that's the main gist of it. That's probably as far as I can go with the story without spoiling anything big. If you haven't guessed already, this game is partly a horror game, not fully, but there are some decent horror aspects to it, which I personally enjoy quite a bit. Why don't we go ahead and move on to the gameplay. Omori is made with RPG Maker, which is kind of obvious, but if you don't know what RPG Maker is, it's basically just a program that allows users to create their own RPG games. Most versions include a tileset-based map editor, which would be like flooring, like grass, stone, stuff like that, textures overall. And it also includes a simple scripting language for scripting events, and a battle editor, which is what is used in Omori. I believe the coding language is called Ruby, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not all familiar with it, because I never used RPG Maker or anything like that before, but that's what it's called. It seems rather simple, but once again, I've never used RPG Maker, so I wouldn't know. If you've never played an RPG before, then I believe this is a great game to introduce you to them. For gameplay, you'll mainly be switching between the overworld view and the battle view. The overworld view is basically just roaming the map and whatnot. You'll be able to interact with items, characters, and encounter enemies. Each character has their own special ability. Omori can use his knife to slash bushes, cobwebs, and traffic cones, things like that. All that does is destroy it. Aubrey can use her bat to destroy things that are blocking a path, break barrels that sometimes have items inside of them, break pots, and other things like that. Kel can throw a baseball at targets during specific times. Hero can use his charm to persuade and talk to characters that Omori, Kel, and Aubrey cannot. So yeah, they each have their own special ability. The battle system is rather simple. Once you engage a fight, you have two options. The first one is to fight, the second one is to run. Running is not always guaranteed, and some battles you just cannot run from, but most of the time you do escape unless you're under level for that area. If you choose the fight option, then it gives you 4 more choices. The first one being regular attack, second being skills, third, snacks, and fourth, toys. Attack is just your base attack for that character. Skills allows you to choose a skill to use with that character. You get more as you level up, and you can find some from talking and completing side quests from different characters. Snacks basically just allows you to heal yourself and recover juice. There are also some items that allow you to revive an ally that has become toast. Toast is what it's called when you're down in this game. So you can revive with Life Jam or any other items that you have that revive. And finally, toys is basically just items that change emotions and give debuffs and buffs to you and or your enemies. At the beginning of each turn, you choose what Omori, Aubrey, Kel, and Hero will do for that turn. You have to select one for each before the turn actually starts. During the attack phase, Omori and friends will attack according to their speed stat, and so will the enemy. And you should pay close attention to emotions during these fights. And I think that's basically it for the battle system. Not too hard to get the hang of. Simple enough, right? Another thing I should probably mention is the follow-up moves. Every time you're attacked, the bar goes up by 1. The max is 10. It can only reach 10. But basically, every 3 energy you have, you can perform a follow-up move, which is basically just an assist after a regular attack. And if you build your bar all the way up to 10, Omori can release energy, which basically is an all-out attack, and does very heavy damage to the enemy. It's basically a great way to make a comeback if you're not doing great in battle. The mechanics are easy to get used to, and you don't have to include a whole lot of strategy every time you make a move. Emotions are basically status effects, which play a big part in the game's battle systems, and they decide what you're strong and weak against. Being happy means that you deal more damage, have higher speed and luck, but have a higher chance of missing. Being angry, on the other hand, means that your attack has increased, but your defense is lowered. Being sad means that you have a higher defense, but your speed is decreased. Another thing when sad is when you're attacked, it can drain your juice instead of your heart, which is basically just HP and SP. Juice would be SP, HP would be heart. Each emotion has 3 stages. For happy, the first would be happy, of course. Ecstatic would be the second one, and manic would be the last. For angry, there is angry, enraged as the second, and furious as the third stage. For sad, sad would be the first, depressed would be the second, and miserable would be the third. If your character is neutral, these status effects don't apply. Now, if you hadn't guessed, all this does is amplifies the emotion's power. Also, I'm pretty sure only Omori can get to the third stage of any emotion. So I'm pretty sure Aubrey, Cal, and Hero can't go past 2. I may be wrong about that, but I've tested it. It doesn't seem to work past 2 for any other character, except for Omori. Other than the battle system and all that, the art style is simple. It's simple, but it's very good. I love the animated hand-drawn art style they went with. It fits perfectly with the kind of game and makes everything 10 times cuter in my opinion. I also really like hand-drawn stuff. The game's soundtrack is another great aspect, and some of it was even made by Toby Fox, which is the creator of Undertale, for those of you who don't know. But I enjoy the soundtrack so much that I sometimes throw on soundtrack when I'm in the mood for listening to game soundtrack and whatnot, or just to vibe to it. It's a good time overall. And finally, Omori has great characters, the main being Omori, or Sunny, in the real world, Kel, Hiro, Aubrey, Mari, and Basil. They're the characters the story focuses on most. There are others, but they're mainly just side characters, and that mainly come in for side quests and whatnot. They never come in as often as the main 6. Now there's a whole lot of other things that I do love about this game, but that's most of it. Now on to what I disliked. Honestly, I didn't really dislike anything. One thing that I think they should have added is when progressing dialogue, it shows a text animation, which is it's pretty good for your first time playing, but when you're playing through a second time, you can't really skip that. Well, if you can, I'm unaware of it. But skipping things you've already read, I feel like that should be an option if it isn't already, which I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure it isn't, which is why I'm saying this. And which is why I'm also saying that there should be if there isn't. Either that or to just skip the dialogue animation so you can read through it more quickly rather than spamming the Z key hoping to eventually skip the dialogue. Everything else, though, I absolutely loved. And I have 0 complaints. A truly amazing experience. 100 out of 10. Great game. That's about all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.